The story you are about to hear is a compilation of documented true facts featuring historical characters, events, or places that has played a role in shaping history. Please sit back and listen as I recite this narrative for you.
Between the years of 1968 and 1969, 3 married young women were murdered in Glasgow, Scotland after attending the Barrowlands Ballroom. Although it was quickly established that these murders were the work of just one man, there were no clues left behind at the scenes to indicate who the murderer could be. There have been a number of suspects over the years, and one man in particular was top of the suspect list. However, Biblejohn's true identity has never been uncovered, and the case remains a mystery. The nude body of Patricia Docker, 25, was found in a lane by a man on his way to work on February 23, 1968. She was only meters away from her home, and the night before she had told her parents she was going to a dance at the Majestic Ballroom, a club in Hope Street, Glasgow, Scotland. But instead of just going there, she went to the Barrowlands Ballroom, which was holding an over 25s night where discretion was crucial. People introduced themselves under plausible pseudonyms. Their wedding ring suddenly slipped off at the door, ready for a night's worth of easily won intimacy, temporary relief from the slow oppressions of routine work and home. Patricia Docker's body was found half frozen between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. She had been dumped on Carmichael Lane at some point in the early hours, 2 streets over from her parents' home. The post-mortem established that she'd been strangled and almost certainly sexually assaulted, and it was believed that she may have met her killer at the Barrowlands. Despite extensive searching, her clothes and bag were never found. How the next victim's body was found is truly tragic. Jemima MacDonald was a 32-year-old mother of 3 children who had gone to the Barrowlands Ballroom on Friday, August 15, 1969. The next day, her sister Margaret had heard children talking about a body they had seen in an old building, but at first, she didn't pay too much attention. By Monday, and with no sign of her sister, Margaret decided to investigate the rumors she had heard from the children. Inside the building, she found the fully clothed body of her sister Jemima. Her autopsy showed she had been raped, beaten, and strangled. Witnesses came forward saying they had seen Jemima leaving the Barrowlands around midnight that Friday with a young man who was slim, tall, and had red hair. Further investigations uncovered a witness who claimed she had heard screaming coming from the old building the night Jemima was killed, but she was unable to say what time she had heard it, so the police didn't consider it important. The third known victim was Helen Potok, 29, who was found in her own back garden on October 31, 1969. Like the others, she had also attended the Barrowlands Ballroom on the night she was killed, along with her sister Jean. They had met 2 men there, one who was called John, who said he was from Castlemilk. The other man, he was a John as well, but so were most men. She didn't catch the surname. This wasn't unusual at the Barrowlands, even if his single-breasted suit and leather half-boots were. He was handsome, sharp-featured, with 2 slightly overlapping front teeth. You noticed his accent and its clipped middle-class inflections. Jean was later reported as saying that he wasn't the Barrowlands type. Many of those who used to go were kind of rough or drunk, but he was nice. Very nice, polite, and well-spoken. When they left the ballroom, John went off to catch a bus, and the other man joined Helen and Jean in getting a taxi. According to Jean, the man was very well-spoken and liked to quote from the Bible, which is why the killer ended up being called Biblejohn. John spoke of adulterous women and the age-old sectarian violence of Celtic and Rangers. To lighten things, Jean asked what he did for Hogmanay or New Year's Eves. He said he didn't drink but prayed. Things ran on, for some reason, to talk of foster children. John mentioned they were all right, citing Moses as an example, a possible reference to Moses and the bulrushes from Exodus. The Old Testament allusions gave Jean an odd feeling. John insisted that Jean was dropped off first to her house in Yoker before retreating back to Helen's in Scottstown, the West End suburb. Jean was dropped off at her home in Knightswood, and the taxi headed for the direction of Helen's home in Scottstown. Helen had been raped and strangled just like the others. She was found yards from her home at 129 Earl Street the next morning. This time, her handbag had been appended nearby, the contents scattered, but the bag itself was missing. She had grass stains on her feet, which showed she most likely tried to get away from her killer. There was also a human bite mark on one of her legs and traces of semen left on her tights. Each of the women killed was menstruating at the time of their murder. The killer had placed sanitary napkins or tampons either on the bodies or near them. Suspects. Jean's description of the man in the taxi: he was well-dressed and well-spoken, slim, red or fair hair. He said his name was John Templeton or Sempleson, quoted from the Bible, aged between 25 to 30, height around 5 feet 10 inches. But the bouncers who had been working at the Barrowlands Ballroom that night gave a completely different description of the man who had left in the taxi with Helen and Jean. Their description was short, well-spoken, jet black hair. The police were inclined to believe the description given by the bouncers because Jean had been intoxicated at the time. She denied being drunk during the taxi ride and stood by her description of the man she believed attacked and killed her sister. There was a sighting of a man matching Jean's description as he got off a bus at Gray Street around 1:30 a.m. that morning. He was described as looking disheveled, and it seemed he had scratch marks on his face. One suspect the police considered later was John Irvine McKeans. He had served with the Scots Guards and committed suicide in 1980. In 1996, his body was exhumed so DNA testing could be carried out, but this came back as inconclusive. It's not clear why he was considered a suspect, and although the test didn't prove anything, it was deemed there was not enough evidence to pin the murders on McKeans. In 2004, a DNA sample taken from a minor crime scene came back as an 80% match to the sample obtained from Biblejohn's murders. This led police to consider the person responsible for the murders was most likely related to the man charged with the minor crime. However, nothing further has come from this angle. The most well-known suspect is Pierre Tobin. He came to light as a potential suspect after being arrested and charged with murder in 2007. The 60-year-old Tobin had been working at the church as a handyman under the unassumed name Pat McLaughlin. By all accounts, he was mild-mannered and dutiful, always hanging just to the side of things, always polite and well-spoken. The reason why are as follows. Early photos of Tobin are very similar to the identikit picture of Biblejohn. Tobin's ex-wives all claim to have been throttled, raped, and beaten by him. Tobin had been living in Glasgow at the time and moved away in 1969. He used to frequent the Barrowlands Ballroom. Tobin met his first wife at the ballroom at the same time as the murder stopped. Tobin had strong religious views and was Roman Catholic. Tobin became enraged by a woman's menstrual cycle. During the police investigation, Operation Anagram, a woman came forward and claimed she had met Tobin at the Barrowlands in 1968 and he had raped her. In 2010, another woman came forward and said she had met Tobin at the Barrowlands and it was a threatening experience. He persistently tried to get her to accompany him to a party in Castlemilk, but she refused. When she saw pictures of Tobin in 2010, she was certain that he was Biblejohn. The strength of the facial similarities between a young Tobin and the famous composite, the obsession with religion, the sexual deviance, and the violence, all three of Tobin's former wives reported the appalling ordeals of their marriage and his sociopath's charm. The slightly crooked front teeth. He had grown up in Glasgow, was of age and reported as a dance hall regular, particularly at the Barrowlands where he met his first wife. The killings ended the same year that he left the city for a new life in Brighton. Yet Tobin has never been charged for the Biblejohn murders, and any possible connection would likely never be proven, with the original DNA evidence taken from Helen Puttock, two-time warned to be of much use. It is unlikely there will ever be a DNA match done with Tobin. According to police, the original samples from the crime scenes hadn't been stored correctly and had deteriorated. Helen's sister Jean, who provided the most widely accepted description of Biblejohn, passed away in 2010, never knowing who really killed her sister.
Thank you for giving me the gift of your time and attending the premiere in my last couple of premieres. Tess Atienza, Por Incay, Aubrey Delgado, Eliseo Saavedra, Eriza Miguel, Miss Cafe Latte, Miss Colette, Aries Crib Horror Tales, Disturbed Spirit, Dreamworks Stories, and Abigail Sophia. And thank you also for taking the time to comment Jasper Reed Stories, Pinoy Shocking Stories, Aries Crib Horror Tales, Mira's Kitchen, Eriza Miguel, Tik the Loud Stories, Kakay Arf Arf, Tess Atienza, Miss Colette, Trip ni Ryan, Kyle Ventier, Jessamine Carino, Babe Amor de la Cruz, Aubrey Delgado, Gracia and Everything TV, Nicole's Vlog, Dreamworks Stories, Jane Namia, Ben Jose, Nair TV. As always, I appreciate each and every single one of you for dropping by and listening to my uploads. Blessed be.